Now let us consider probably the most important, at least in terms of hierarchy, the part of our model which is dealing with the political system of Russia. The content of that particular part is dealing with the major branches of Russian political system. But first of all, we will deal with the major principle of Russian political system, the division of powers. And then we will consider the role of President of Russian Federation, then the role of Russian government, and then we will consider the legislative bodies of Russian political system, the State Duma and the Federal Council, which both represent the Russian parliament. According to Russian constitution, specifically according to the Article 10, the Russian Federation is established due to the principle of separation of powers. All major powers, legislative, executive, and judicial, are divided between the particular bodies. The state power is exercised by the following bodies: the President of Russian Federation, the Federal Assembly or the Russian Parliament, which consists of two houses, the State Duma and the Federation Council, and the government of Russian Federation. We will start with the President of Russia. The President of Russian Federation is the head of the state. He or she is a guarantor of the Constitution, the main law of Russian Federation. Also, the President of Russian Federation is the guarantor of all human rights and the freedoms inside Russia. Russian President is adopting the measures to protect the sovereignty of Russia and interdependence of state integrity. He or she ensures the coordination functioning, the governmental bodies' interaction. Among the major functions of the President of Russian Federation is to be the Supreme Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Russian Federation. In case of emergency, the President of Russian Federation will become the Commander-in-Chief. In peacetime, which we hope will continue forever, the role of Commander-in-Chief is taken by the President of Russian Federation, mainly nominally. Also, the President of Russia is determining the basic objectives of the internal and foreign policy of Russian state. That practically is meaning that the President is responsible and having all the rights to make major proposals and major changes or resist any changes in terms of most important issues of internal and foreign policy of the country. And also the President of Russian Federation is representing the country outside of Russia and inside of Russia. All major functions of that case, the official visits to other countries or receiving the official visitors from other countries, are belonging to the President of Russian Federation. In terms of election, according to the current law, the President of Russian Federation is elected for the 6 years. And to be elected, the person has to be, first of all, citizen of Russian Federation. And in the terms of age limitation, the person which is supposed to be elected for president has to have age not lower than 35, I'm sorry. And used to live in Russia as a resident, permanent resident, for at least 10 years. Current President of Russian Federation is Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin, who has been elected for his 4th term so far on 18th of March 2008, so he will serve as a President of Russia till year 2024. All major executive powers of Russia are delegated and so exercised by the government of Russian Federation. The head of the government of Russian Federation, or the chairman, or the prime minister, is appointed by the president with the consent of the State Duma. So the president is making the particular candidate, and the State Duma is approving or disapproving this particular candidate. The government of Russia consists of the prime minister, the deputy prime ministers, and the federal ministers, and also the heads of the system of federal executive bodies, including the ministries, federal services, and federal agencies. Right now, the prime minister or the head of Russian government is Dmitry Anatolyevich Medvedev, who has been approved as a prime minister since May 2018, and his cabinet also has been approved in May 2018. Currently, the cabinet of Mr. Medvedev consists of 32 members, including the prime minister himself, 10 deputy prime minister, and 21 other federal ministers. The first deputy prime minister now is Minister of Finance. Legislative power in Russia belongs to the Federal Assembly of Russian Federation. The lower house of Federal Assembly or the Parliament of Russia is State Duma. This particular house is having the most important legislative authority, and it consists of 450 members or MPs. The main tasks of State Duma are dealing with adoption of federal laws, control over the governmental activity, appointment and dismissed of the heads of the central bank, declaration of amnesty, and many other functions, including the one which has been already mentioned, the adoption of the Prime Minister of the Russian government. The upper house of the Russian Parliament, the Federation Council, has its representatives from each constituent entity of Russian Federation or every subject of Russian Federation, and each of those subjects is sending 2 representatives to the Federation Council. One of those represents the legislative authorities of subject of federation, and another one is representing executive authority. For example, one could be a speaker or deputy speaker of local parliament, and another one supposed to represent the administration or the government of particular subject of Russian Federation. Among the major tasks of the Federal Council is declaration of presidential election, the impeachment of president, approving the president's nominations, and many others. It's important to mention that Russia never had any impeachment of president. The current president, Mr. Putin, and 2 other presidents, Mr. Yeltsin, Mr. Medvedev, never impeached. But in the time of President Yeltsin, the procedure of impeachment were started, but the number of votes towards impeachment, they're in minor compared to number of votes against the impeachment. So none of Russian presidents so far was impeached. And now let us have a look to the reference list.